Welcome to the Dibley Diaries for this week. This week we're thinking about the story of that we use when we're celebrating Candlemas, the presentation of Christ in the temple, and I've really been thinking about it this week, preparing for today, thinking about vision and knowing God's dream. What does it mean for us to understand God's vision for a place, for a community, for a church community? I have everywhere I have been, everywhere I have worked, there has been at least one person in each community who is the visionary for that community, who is effectively the prophet for that village. This person will be a prayerful person. They may not be on any particular leadership team or anything, but they will be someone who prays and asks God's will for a place and listens to what God is saying in a place. It's important to listen to what that person's saying. They may be quite challenging if they think that there's something which the church community should be doing which they're not doing, or it might be that they think that the church community should stop doing something which they are doing. But they are people who are really listening to what God is saying. They are prayerfully considering God's vision, God's dream for a village and for a church community. And it's important for us to listen to those people, to pray with them if we have time as church leaders, and to pray with them as a community as we seek God's way forward. It may be that you can think in your community and you think, oh, I know who those people are. I know who the person is who when they say, actually, I think God's saying that we should do this, that they'll be right, that God has a plan, something that he wants a community to do. It may be that you don't know who that person is, or it may be you. So it may be that you are that person in your community. It might be that you are the prayerful one, you are the person who is listening to God, whom God is sharing his vision for a community is. Or maybe it could be you. Maybe it's something which you could do to spend some time really purposefully praying, either by yourself or with other people, either locally or in a different way, praying for God's vision in your community, what sort of vision that would be, and how the community could go about making it come into reality. Thought for the week. This week is based on Luke 2 verses 22 to 40, which is a presentation of Christ at the temple, which is sometimes known as Candlemas for us, and it's the story of Jesus being taken to the temple. Simeon is there, and Simeon gives this great kind of speech prophecy about Jesus being a light to lighten the Gentiles. But this week, the person in the story I have not been able to get out of my mind is Anna. And what Anna says is really interesting. What happens to Anna is really interesting, and Anna's story is interesting. And I'm going to read you the bit which says what Anna did once she realised that Jesus was the Messiah. So Anna, she began to praise God and speak about the child to all who were looking for the redemption of Jerusalem. She began to praise God and speak about the child to all who were looking for the redemption of Jerusalem. So Anna knew what God's plans were. Anna was a visionary. She knew what God's dream, his ambition, his plan was going to be. Anna is a very, very interesting character. Anna is described as a named woman in the Bible. Lots of women, even in the New Testament, are not named. We have Peter's mother-in-law, we have Jairus' daughter, we have the Syrophoenician woman, we have the Samaritan woman, we have the woman who's bleeding. Lots of women don't get named, but we know quite a bit about Anna. Anna was from the tribe of Asher. She was Phanuel's daughter, and we know that she was married but she was married for 7 years and they had no children. And then since then, she'd been fasting and praying in the temple. We don't know the name of Anna's husband. The childlessness of that couple, I could go down a whole rabbit hole from there. I don't know enough about it, but it seems harsh that Anna's husband isn't named in that situation. It's probably about 60 years that Anna has been praying in the temple. We don't know how Anna was supported. We don't know if she had great nephews and nieces who were supporting her, whether she had siblings. We don't know those things. But we know that Anna was fasting and praying in the temple. And we know that Anna was looking for the redemption of Jerusalem. She was understanding God's vision. In the Game of Thrones series, Tyrion Lannister says once upon a time, he says, I drink and I know things. That's his role. I drink and I know things. Well, Anna prayed and she knew things. Anna prayed and she knew things. She knew what God's dream was. She understood what God's dream was because she prayed so much. I wonder what sort of visionary you are, what sort of dreams you have, whether you are a big dreamer person or an incremental dreamer person. I tend to be a much more incremental visionary. I think, well, we should do this, and then maybe if that goes well, we could do that. Sometimes I don't even get as far as step 2. Sometimes God says, do this simple thing, and then once we've done that simple thing, we can do another simple thing. And I go, oh, well, because we've done this, we could do that. And actually, I've seen that even just in the past few weeks where I'm currently working. Someone else had the vision about moving some furniture within a church building and just from one place to another place. And that made me think, actually, well, that means we could do this thing, which would be a really good thing to do. I believe that that's what God's calling us to do in that way. So one thing and then another thing. That often happens within church communities. You think, well, if we do this, maybe we should do this. And then you think, oh, well, then maybe God's telling us to do that. Some people are big vision people. Some people are £1 million project people who will go, this is what God's calling us to do. And then the church community will have to come alongside that vision. I've known it take 10, 15, 20 years for that big vision to be something which has actually come to pass in a church or a village community. But they're good things. They're good things. So what is it? What is the vision that God is giving your church community and your village community? What is it that God's calling you to recognise is the thing that He wants to happen, the thing that He wants to bring to pass in your church community and your village community? If you don't know what it is, then you need to pray. You need to pray about it and really listen to God as He's saying it could be this thing, and seek His will. We need to pray and listen like Anna did, so we can understand what God's vision is for what's going to happen. The Dibbly moment of the week this week is a very simple Dibbly moment. We were running a youth group nearly 25 years ago, and the ambition, the dream of one of the people in our youth group was to go to Alton Towers. And it's a theme park. It was about 160 miles away from where we were living at that time. And we were like, well, we can do that. We can organise that. We had the right number of cars, that the adults could just take the young people, and we could go to Alton Towers. What seemed an impossible dream for one young person was something which we could simply deliver for them. And I think that's a challenge for us. What is it that are people's dreams and visions that we have the resources that we could put together and simply bring them about What could we do? And yes, I did go on roller coasters. I went on Oblivion and Nemesis on that trip, and I have never forgotten. That's it for the Dibley Diaries for this week. I pray that you and your village, however large or small, have a really blessed week where you will be able to understand God's vision for what He's calling you to do.